So this is it. I have driven from Portland, Oregon to LA City Hall, and then I'm driving all the way back to Portland. And I'm currently in Sutherland, Oregon. I am at what I hope will be the last rapid charger stop of this entire trip. And while I did plan to produce and upload several videos while I was on the road, talking about some other things unrelated to this trip, covering some things that have happened in Frankfurt this week, I was unable to because wherever I was, the internet connection wasn't good enough to upload a high quality video. Some of you are watching this and going, well, how come you've uploaded a couple of videos on your phone? And the reality is that these are unedited videos. They're a lot easier to upload, and I can't upload a non-road trip video in the same way. I did try, but I couldn't do it. I even tried uploading one of the videos using the Wi-Fi connection in my car. It just kept disconnecting every time we went in and out of poor quality signal areas. So today, 4 days after I started, I figured I would tell you what I've learned about driving what is nearly 2,000 miles and will be 2,000 miles by the time I get home this evening in a non-Tesla EV, a Chevrolet Bolt EV, a car that has an EPA approved range, at least my version of it, an EPA approved range of 234 miles. What has it been like driving this distance? I've crossed several mountain ranges. I've been driving mainly on the freeway or the motorway if you're in other parts of the world, and the car has behaved itself 99.9% of the time. There was one issue on Monday evening when I arrived late in Sacramento. I had some issues with the charging station. It seemed to be partly down to the car and partly down to the charging station not communicating. But every other time I've stopped and plugged in, everything has been really reliable. Now, I've had some people criticize this trip and say, yes, but you've been waiting longer than you would if you were driving a Tesla. I've had people, actually had one person claim that that it was fake news, and they actually left a really nasty comment that got very quickly deleted, saying that's fake news, there's no way you could have driven that distance in a compliance car. And I'm not going to even give any more airtime to that sentiment. We drove there, we did the distance, I have the odometer readings to prove it, and this car did fantastically well. Some people have said, well, you would have taken longer to charge in this car than you would have done had you driven in a Tesla, and maybe that would be the case. However, today certainly I've stopped because I've needed to do something else. This final stop is an exception, but today I left Sacramento about 6 in the morning, and I drove until I needed to stop for breakfast, and I put the car on charge. That's a train. I drove until I wanted breakfast, then I charged while I ate breakfast, got back in the car, drove until I needed to go to the bathroom, and was going to go and look for a coffee but couldn't find a coffee shop. So in the time it took me to walk around and do those things, I charged the car up again. I stopped about 40 miles down the road from here and used a slow 25 kilowatt charging station. And the only reason I did that was because I needed to use the bathroom, and I picked up like a little apple snack pack. This is the only time today that I've pulled in and really, absolutely, I can't go any further unless I charge up. And I designed that because these are, I'm plugged into a 350 kilowatt capable charging station. My car will take up to 55 kilowatts, so it's charging at its maximum allowable power. It will continue to charge that way until it gets to about 50 or 60% state of charge. I haven't cooked the battery pack today. It's nice and warm here. It's probably high 80s today. So 27, something like that, 28 Celsius, and the car has just behaved itself. Now, why am I making this video? Well, it's because I want people to understand that road trips in any type of electric car are possible. At no point did I feel let down by the charging network. Maybe I did on the Monday night. Monday night was not good. And I'm going to put that down to issues with the car, battery pack, maybe a low state of charge. But that was one incident. The rest of the trip has been absolutely flawless. There have been no qualms about driving the Bolt this distance. I know a lot of people complain about the seat in the Bolt. I've basically lived in this car for two days going down and 2 days going back. I've averaged 500 miles a day. Today I've already done 500 miles today. Actually just under 500, so like 460 or something. And I don't feel that this car, that the seats have been a problem for me. I haven't got out of the car feeling any stiffer than I would in any other vehicle doing a long distance trip. It was super easy to drive, and it's because of the availability of public charging stations. And that has been such a transformative experience for me, because I've been driving electric vehicles, and I'll freely admit this, I've been driving electric vehicles for 12 years. I've been driving electric vehicles at points in the past where it wasn't practical to make long distance trips, and I still made them. And I remember those days when you didn't know if you were going to get to your destination for the evening, where you were worried about what the infrastructure was going to be like. And I also acknowledge that in large parts of the world, even large parts of the US, hello WASP, that this is still a problem, and you still cannot make long distance trips by anything other than a Tesla in certain places, and I acknowledge that. But if you're on, in more of the coastal areas of the US along the I-5 corridor, for example, you really can make a long distance trip in any medium to long distance electric car, and it's a pleasant experience. At least that has been my experience, and I can only go on my experience. Now, what do I bring to the table that maybe some other journalists and news outlets may not have? Well, the thing I bring to the table is the fact that I know how to use the networks, I know how to look for charging stations, and I understand the methodologies, the simple rules. Make sure that you have at least 20 miles of buffer in your car's battery pack, more than the car needs to get to the next destination. And if it's a car like the Chevrolet Bolt or the Tesla, or any Tesla that has the ability to display minimum range under worst case scenarios and maximum range under best case scenarios, you're always working off the minimum charge. Now, I tend not to always follow the minimum charge restriction anymore, because I know what this car is capable of, and as long as I've got like 40% state of charge or higher, I know I can get some of those miles back if I need to in an emergency. But so far, this car has been rock solid, and I believe that this is something you could do in a Nissan Leaf E+. I believe you could do it in a Kona. I believe you could do it in an Niro, any of those cars really. And that is a fantastic thing, because it means that while not everybody has the same experience today, it's becoming the norm. And I think that's the takeaway from this trip. 2 years ago, had I tried to drive to LA and back in 4 days for an award ceremony, I wouldn't have been able to have done it. And it's very important that we acknowledge that there is progress being made by companies other than Tesla. Tesla are doing a fantastic job, but it's going to take more than just Tesla to grow the network. And this is why I'm so pleased these other companies are stepping in. Sure, Volkswagen did it under duress as part of the Electrify America was done essentially under duress as part of Volkswagen's penance. But I think the thing we need to celebrate is that it's here and it's working, and that's a good thing for us moving forward. So this trip has been one for me about looking forwards to the future, not looking back towards old grudges and old things. And I've realised that it doesn't matter what car you drive, what electric car you drive. What's important is that you drive a plug-in vehicle or you drive a low emission vehicle, and you make a difference, and you change the way that you travel, and you start thinking about it in a different way. I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop now, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Support us using Patreon, send us a Ko-fi or coffee through Ko-fi, visit our swag store, and I'm back in the studio tomorrow, and I will be recording the usual Saturday show. The video that I had intended to release on Tuesday will also get released tomorrow, And so you'll have to forgive it if it relates to me traveling down when I'm already back. But hopefully you'll all forgive me on that one. There'll be a studio update coming on Take Two very shortly in the next couple of days as well. So look out for that. And until then, keep evolving.